Okay, so someone hands you the Golden State Warriors tomorrow. Maybe Joe Lacob decides to cash out. Maybe a restructuring shakes loose a controlling stake. However it happens, the team is yours. 4 championships in 8 years. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the dynasty that redefined modern basketball. Forbes values the franchise at $7.7 billion, the most valuable basketball team on earth. They built their own billion-dollar arena on the San Francisco waterfront. No public money, no landlord. Every dollar that flows through those doors belongs to the franchise. So, can you actually afford to run this thing? The honest answer is, it depends on how much pain you are willing to absorb for championships. In the 2022-23 season, the Golden State Warriors paid $170 million in luxury tax alone, the largest single-season luxury tax bill in NBA history. Over 4 seasons from 2021 to 2025, the Warriors paid over $500 million in luxury tax, $500 million, just in penalties. That is the price of a dynasty, and the question every potential owner must answer is whether the next dynasty is worth that kind of money. 3 forces shape every dollar in this franchise: an arena nobody else owns, a brand nobody else can replicate, and a tax code nobody else has tested harder. Here is what it actually looks like from the inside. Because to understand what the Warriors are worth today, you need to understand what they were worth when Joe Lacob walked in. In July 2010, Joe Lacob and Peter Guber bought the Golden State Warriors for $450 million. At the time, it was a record price for an NBA franchise. Every analyst in sports said he overpaid. The Warriors had made the playoffs once in the previous 16 years. They played in a crumbling arena in Oakland. The franchise was a punchline. Forbes ranked them in the bottom third of NBA franchise values. Revenue was middling. The brand was regional at best. $450 million to $7.7 billion, a 1,600% return in 15 years. The greatest sports franchise investment in modern history. How did that happen? Not luck, not market timing, structure. First, what you are actually buying, because an NBA franchise is not a company, it is a membership. 30 teams, 1 league. Every member negotiates as one, broadcasts as one, and splits the national money equally. In 2024, the NBA signed a new media rights deal with Disney, NBC, and Amazon. $76 billion over 11 years. Split 30 ways, that is roughly $230 million per team per year, just from national media, before selling a single ticket. Win the championship or win 20 games. The national media check is the same. But that national check is identical for all 30 teams. What separates the Warriors from the Pistons is the second number, local revenue. Ticket sales, premium suites, local sponsorships, merchandise, everything that stays in your pocket instead of the league's. Total Warriors revenue, $457 million in the 2023-24 season, the second highest in the NBA, behind only the Lakers. Only the Los Angeles Lakers, with their 80-year legacy and 13 million-person market, earn more, and the gap is closing. And the reason the gap is closing has a name and an address: Chase Center, One Warriors Way, San Francisco. Chase Center cost $1.4 billion to build, entirely privately funded. No taxpayer subsidies, no public bonds. Joe Lacob wrote the check. The Warriors moved from Oracle Arena in Oakland, a building they shared and did not own, to their own cathedral on the San Francisco waterfront. J.P. Morgan Chase paid $300 million over 20 years for the naming rights. That money goes directly to the Warriors, not to a landlord, not to a city, to you. 18,064 seats. But the real money is not in the upper deck. It is in the premium inventory. 44 luxury suites, annual leases starting at $500,000 and climbing past $1 million for courtside-level suites. Multi-year commitments, waitlisted. Courtside seats run up to $50,000 per game. Per seat, 41 home games. That is over $2 million a season for a pair of chairs. 3 distinct club levels, the Modelo Cantina, the Kaiser Permanente Lounge, each one a revenue stream, each one filled with tech executives who write 6-figure checks without blinking. And here's the genius of owning the arena. You do not just host 41 basketball games. Chase Center hosts over 200 events a year. Concerts, comedy, corporate conferences, every single one generates revenue for the franchise. When Beyoncé or Taylor Swift plays Chase Center, the Warriors collect the rent, the catering, the parking, the merchandise cut. Every stream flows to the same vault. Then there is Thrive City, the 11-acre mixed-use development surrounding Chase Center, restaurants, retail, public plazas. The Warriors are not just an arena operator, they are a real estate developer. Compare this to the Lakers, who are tenants at Crypto.com Arena. The Warriors capture naming rights, suite revenue, concert income, food and beverage, parking, and real estate. The Lakers split most of that with AEG. Estimated total arena-generated revenue, over $160 million per year. That is a business within a business. And nobody else in the NBA has built anything quite like it. But the debt is real. $1.4 billion in construction costs means annual debt service payments estimated at $80 to $100 million. That is money that leaves the building before a single player takes the floor. Net arena contribution after debt service, roughly $60 to $80 million. Significant, but not the windfall the gross numbers suggest. But here is the long game. Once the debt is paid off, every dollar of arena revenue becomes pure profit. The building will still be standing, the concerts will still be coming, the suites will still be leased, the debt will be gone. Now the brand, because Chase Center is the engine, but the brand is the fuel that makes it run. In 2010, the Warriors were a regional franchise. By 2020, they were a global brand. Steph Curry's popularity in Asia rivals LeBron's. The three-point revolution made them appointment television worldwide. Over 50 million followers across social media platforms. Content views in the billions. The Warriors' digital media operation is a standalone business. The jersey patch deal with Rakuten, the Japanese e-commerce giant, pays roughly $20 million per year, one of the richest in the league, and it gives the Warriors direct access to Asian markets. Local sponsorships draw from the richest corporate base in America: Google, Salesforce, Adobe, Oracle, tech companies that spend on sports because their employees fill the suites. Warriors merchandise consistently ranks in the top 3 league-wide. Curry's jersey is the best-selling in the NBA most seasons. That brand moves product everywhere English and Mandarin are spoken. Warriors games consistently draw top-tier national television ratings. Networks schedule them for Christmas Day, opening night, and marquee matchups. That visibility feeds sponsorship value and merchandise demand in a self-reinforcing loop. The brand premium, the extra revenue the Warriors generate over a comparable team in the same market without the dynasty, is estimated at over $100 million per year. You cannot buy that. You can only build it. And the brand sits in the right market, because the Bay Area is not just any market. The San Francisco Bay Area is home to 7.7 million people, the 6th largest metro in the United States. Median household income exceeds $130,000, among the highest in the country. These are people who can afford $300 tickets on a Tuesday. The Bay Area is home to companies worth over $10 trillion in combined market capitalization: Apple, Google, Meta, Nvidia, Salesforce. The corporate sponsorship pool is virtually bottomless. Every luxury suite is leased. Every corporate hospitality package is sold. The waiting list for premium inventory runs years deep. In the Bay Area, there is always another company willing to pay. The Warriors' average ticket price exceeds $200, more than double the NBA average. The market supports it. The demand has not softened. And unlike Los Angeles, where the Lakers and Clippers compete for corporate dollars, the Warriors are the only NBA franchise in the Bay Area. No splitting, no sharing. Every basketball dollar in the region flows to one team. Now, the other side of the ledger. Because everything we have talked about so far is income, here is where it goes. The biggest cost in any NBA franchise is player salaries, and the Warriors have pushed that number to its absolute limit. Steph Curry earned $55.8 million in the 2024-25 season, the highest salary in the NBA, one player consuming nearly 40% of the salary cap. Total roster payroll regularly exceeds $210 million, $70 million over the salary cap. Every dollar above the cap triggers consequences. The luxury tax is progressive. The first $5 million over the threshold costs $1.50 per dollar, then $1.75, then $2.50, then $3.25, and as a repeat offender, add another dollar per tier. The Warriors have been over the luxury tax line in 4 of the last 5 seasons. They are chronic repeat offenders. The penalty rates are at their maximum. The tax bill has fluctuated, $170 million in 2022-23, roughly $105 million the following year, declining as the roster turned over, but never disappearing. And this is what makes the Warriors' cost structure unique. They carry both the luxury tax and the arena debt, $80 to $100 million in debt service, plus $65 to $170 million in luxury tax. No other franchise in the NBA carries both burdens simultaneously. Coaching staff runs over $25 million. Steve Kerr's contract alone is estimated at $10 to $12 million per year. Add analytics, player development, and the entire performance science operation. Travel costs exceed $15 million per season, charter flights to 30 cities, 5-star hotels, Bay Area to Miami and back. The geography is relentless. The front office employs over 400 people, and they are all in the Bay Area, where a mid-level marketing manager costs twice what they would in Indianapolis. Add it all up: player payroll, luxury tax, arena debt service, coaching, travel, medical, front office, arena operations, G League, total costs, north of $500 million per year, $457 million in revenue, over $500 million in costs. In a heavy tax year, the Warriors lose money on operations, the most valuable franchise in basketball, losing money. But the costs only make sense in context, and the context is the most expensive dynasty in NBA history. Over the full dynasty window, 2015 through 2025, the Warriors paid an estimated $700 million or more in luxury tax. That is the toll for keeping Curry, Thompson, and Green together. The 2022-23 season was the defining moment. Lacob chose to run it back after winning the 2022 title. Total luxury tax, $170 million. The team lost in the second round. $170 million in luxury tax for a second-round exit. That is not a typo. That is the economics of loyalty. Klay Thompson earned over $190 million as a Warrior, then signed with Dallas in free agency. The dynasty era was over. The tax bills remained. Curry will earn $59 million in 2026-27. He will be 38, the greatest shooter in history, and the most expensive aging star in the league. $700 million divided by 4 championships, $175 million per ring. Was it worth it? That depends on whether you think championships are investments or expenses. Say you want in. Say you have seen the numbers and you still want to own this team. Here is the gate. The NBA's Board of Governors must approve every ownership transfer. 3/4 of the 30 owners must vote yes, 23 approvals. One human being must control the franchise. The NBA does not allow ownership by committee. One person makes the decisions. One person takes the heat. At Forbes' $7.7 billion valuation, the actual sale price could exceed $8 or $9 billion with a bidding premium. The Suns sold for $4 billion in 2023. The Warriors would shatter every record. You need multiple billions in verifiable liquid assets. The NBA caps how much debt you can use to finance the purchase. Paper wealth does not count. Pledged stock does not count. Cash. Joe Lacob has shown zero intention of selling. He built Chase Center. He assembled the dynasty. He moved the team to San Francisco. This is his life's work. The franchise is not on the market. But if it ever came to market, roughly 100 people on Earth could write the check, and every one of them would want in. Now the media question. Because the Warriors' media revenue tells a story about the entire industry. National media money is the guaranteed floor, $230 million per team per year under the new deal. Win or lose, healthy or injured, the check arrives. But local media has been an industry-wide catastrophe. Regional sports networks across America are dying. Diamond Sports filed for bankruptcy. Bally Sports imploded. Cable cord cutting destroyed the business model. The Warriors' local media deal with NBC Sports Bay Area has been solid, but is subject to the same industry headwinds. As cable subscribers shrink, the value of local broadcast deals declines. But the new $76 billion national deal changes the math. Starting in 2025-26, every team's media floor roughly triples. The Warriors' guaranteed national revenue will jump from around $100 million to roughly $230 million. Amazon's entry into NBA broadcasting opens a new frontier. Streaming is global, no regional blackouts, no cable bundle required. For a brand like the Warriors, with fans in Tokyo and Shanghai, streaming could unlock revenue that cable never could. The 2023 collective bargaining agreement was designed to do one thing: punish teams that spend like the Warriors. The new CBA introduced a second luxury tax apron. Cross the first apron, and you lose flexibility. Cross the second, and you lose almost everything. Above the second apron, no sign-in trades, no aggregating salaries in trades, no using the mid-level exception, no taking back more salary than you send out. Your roster-building toolkit is gutted. League insiders call the new CBA provisions the Warriors' rules. They were negotiated specifically to prevent any team from sustaining the kind of spending Golden State pioneered. The league wanted competitive balance. The Warriors were the target. And when teams get the spending wrong, it is brutal. Two cautionary tales. The Brooklyn Nets. Joe Tsai paid $3.4 billion, assembled 3 superstars, lost an estimated $400 million in cumulative operating losses over 4 seasons. The team imploded. The stars left. The value dropped below purchase price. The Nets spent like the Warriors. They just did not win like the Warriors. And without the wins, the spending produces nothing but debt. The Portland Trail Blazers paid luxury tax for years to build around Damian Lillard. No championships, no finals appearances. The tax bought them first-round exits and an aging star who eventually demanded a trade. The lesson is stark. Spending alone does not work. You need to spend and win and earn. All three. Miss one and the model collapses. And then the exit. The question every franchise owner eventually faces. Federal estate tax is 40%. On a $7.7 billion asset, that is $3.08 billion owed to the IRS, within 9 months, in cash. Lacob and Goober lead an ownership group with multiple minority investors. Succession planning is complex. Who takes control? Who has the liquidity to cover the tax? Who has the appetite to run the business? The Broncos sold after Pat Bolin's death, the Commanders after scandal, the Suns after ouster. History says most families eventually sell. The only question is when and under what pressure. The strategic question is timing. Sell at the peak of the franchise's value cycle and take 10 billion or more. Or pass it down and hope the next generation can handle 3 billion in estate taxes and a business that requires daily attention. So, after all of that, the tax, the debt, the CBA, the exits, is there a scenario where this works? Yes, and the math is overwhelming. 450 million to 7.7 billion, a 17 times return. Even after every luxury tax bill, every arena debt payment, every operating loss, the equity appreciation dwarfs every cost. 700 million in total luxury tax paid, 7.25 billion in total value created. For every dollar spent on tax, $10 of franchise value was generated. The new media deal adds roughly 130 million in annual guaranteed revenue. That lands before a single ticket is sold. The operating math flips from marginal to comfortable. Projected total revenue under the new deal, over $620 million. Before inflation adjustments, before new sponsorship categories, before streaming unlocks international money. And the arena plays the long game. The debt shrinks every year. The revenue grows. When the bonds are paid off, Chase Center becomes the single most valuable non-media asset in professional sports. Multiple analysts project the Warriors could be valued at $10 to $12 billion by 2030, the first sports franchise to cross that threshold, in any sport, in any country. But now the sensitivity test. Take that same franchise, turn the dials the wrong way. Steph Curry retires. The greatest draw in franchise history walks away. Ticket demand softens. National TV slots shrink. Merchandise revenue drops by 30 to 40%. A tech recession hits the Bay Area. Suite leases are not renewed. Corporate sponsorships are cut. The $200 average ticket price drops to $150. The premium economy that funds everything contracts. Chase Center opened in 2019. In 15 years, it will need major capital expenditures, systems upgrades, technology refreshes, structural maintenance. Each renovation cycle costs tens of millions. The next CBA negotiation is in 2029. If the owners push for even stricter spending limits, a hard cap, a third apron, reduced exceptions, the Warriors' model of spending to win becomes mathematically impossible. Curry retires, tech corrects, arena ages, CBA tightens. The same franchise that generated 17 times returns becomes a franchise that burns cash every quarter. The margin between dynasty and decline is 4 variables. So what makes the Warriors work when others fail? Arena ownership, capturing every dollar that flows through the building, naming rights, suites, concerts, food, parking, instead of splitting it with a landlord. No other factor generates more incremental revenue. Dynasty brand. 4 championships created a global brand that transcends the roster. The Warriors brand will outlast Curry, the way the Lakers brand outlasted Kobe, but only if the transition is managed. Market quality. Not just size, but wealth density. The Bay Area's median income, corporate base, and tech culture create a premium pricing environment that most markets cannot support. Tax tolerance. Joe Lacob spent $700 million in luxury tax because he believed championships drive value. He was right, but it required a pain threshold that most owners simply do not have. In the end, it reduces to one equation: revenue minus payroll minus tax minus debt service minus operations equals margin. Every decision moves one of those 5 numbers. The Warriors have all 4 pillars firing. Arena ownership generates unmatched revenue. The Dynasty brand commands premium pricing. The tech market provides an inexhaustible sponsor base, and the owner has proven willing to spend whatever it takes. So, someone hands you the Golden State Warriors tomorrow. 4 championships, 457 million in revenue, 7.7 billion in value, a privately owned arena, a brand that rewrote how basketball is played. Can you afford it? Maybe. But the real question was never the sticker price. It was whether you can sustain the machine that turned $450 million into the most valuable sports franchise on earth. Build, win, own everything. That is the economics of owning the Golden State Warriors.